We're going to talk about the TG Channel Mark II. This is another one of our EMI units. It's based on circuits from Abbey Road, from the Beatle, Pink Floyd era. This one actually has an interesting heritage, though. It is different from the other units. It's actually based on circuits from the mastering console, which use some of the same circuits as the recording desks. The big Pink Floyd Mark IV desk actually has the same line amplifier as this, but it uses the preamp from the TG2, and then it has a section from the mastering desk which they called the NAB-IEC equalizer, and it was for when they were playing back tapes from different sources, different tape speeds, or if they had an American EQ'd tape that they had to play back in Europe or in England, to make slight adjustments on the EQ. And I loved how that sounded. I'm lucky enough to have one of the old mastering desks, and I would always just click that on as a really nice way to spice up a track. It has an incredibly open high end and a really deep low frequency. And so I found myself using it so much, I thought, oh, I want to make that into something. And so that's where the EQ section comes from. I did add inductors. I split it into different controls so you have more control of it. It is kind of Pultec style where you boost on one band and cut on another. So the layout is you have a high shelf, a mid peak, a mid cut, a low boost that is peak or shelf, and then a low cut filter style. It is a very, very open equalizer. It has, I think it's one of the thickest sounding EQs, a different sort of thickness than the germanium, which is based on a different type of technology, which is a softer sound. It can be very aggressive in your face, and it's what I use for drums almost exclusively, because I like how it can make, it's an old unit, it's a vintage unit, but it can make drums very modern and in your face, like very full and attacky. So the mid cut is a really slim cue, and it's set so that you can notch out some of the mushy or woolly type sounds, especially on kick drum, where you want to go in and remove some 300, 400, 500 hertz. It's a very thin cue, so you can go in and just completely remove it, really. And the low end inductor based, it's a pretty sharp cue as well, and if you need to thicken up a kick drum or toms or bass guitar even, very full sounding. If you're looking for some of those types of sounds, it's one of the most used pieces for me. It does have the same preamp section as the TG2. I get this question a lot. Does it sound the same though? It is slightly different. The impedance is different on the Mark II. And it also has 4 extra transistors because of the passive EQ circuit. It's the buffering circuit for the equalizer and also some gain makeup for the EQ loss for the passive EQ. So there is a little bit of difference. People ask me which one I like better. Honestly, I use the TG channel exclusively. I don't actually use the TG2. Sorry to say that. Don't be mad at me. But the EQ for me is a special part of this, and it has a neat history and sound relating to the EMI thing that really hits close to home for me, and I think it's one of our more underestimated pieces. I say give it a try, please. So anyway, you also have DI, output control, input gain. You can also switch it to a line input mode and use just the equalizer on its own if you want. I do use this a lot actually as a stereo bus EQ because I like how open the high frequency is. A couple notches on there can really open any mix up, even if something poorly recorded. So one of my personal favorites right there, TG Channel Mark II.